I wonder what the best way to make fuel is. Hold on. What about the top 30 best ways to make fuel? Welcome to my video on the top 30 best ways to make fuel. Actually, there's only 2 ways, but there's many variants of those ways. The purpose of this video is to tell a story about how much building is required for each process and how much power is created from each process. There are pros and cons to each solution. What you see in front of you is 30 production lines, all based on 100 crude oil, each producing varying amounts of power. So what are the 2 variants I'm talking about? The simplest way is that you can make fuel directly from crude oil. However, this method provides the least amount of power from crude oil. The other method is making fuel from heavy oil residue, a byproduct of oil-based recipes. There are different recipes that produce heavy oil residue as a byproduct in varying amounts, along with one alternate recipe whose entire process is to make the most heavy oil residue from crude oil. For the rest of this video, I'm going to call it HOR. The whole purpose of this video comes from the discussion that diluted turbo fuel is the best fuel to make. People always talk about it and are shocked when visiting my stream and discover I don't share in their passion for it. Personally, the amount of work required to make that fuel is not appealing to me. What do I mean by this? These 2 lines here. This is how much power can be created using the diluted fuel and turbo fuel recipes. Out of 100 crude oil, that is 7.4 gigawatts of power. That's an amazing amount of power, but also requires 50 generators and up to 42 production machines. This whole video is about providing a visual story about how much building is required. If that is just 100 crude oil, imagine 600 crude oil. That's 300 generators and over 252 production machines. These first 2 production lines are the simplest. Crude oil into fuel and then that same technique to create turbo fuel from that fuel. Then you have sets of 7 which are all the same. They are all based on varying amounts of HOR created from the byproduct of plastic, rubber, polymer resin, or HOR recipes. First up, you have directly into fuel using a refinery. This is a standard recipe. Next, combining it with packaged water in a refinery using the alternate diluted packaged fuel recipe. Then, taking that identical process and combining fuel with compacted coal to create turbo fuel in a refinery. This is the first of 3 turbo fuel alternate recipes. Combining HOR with compacted coal using the alternate turbo heavy fuel recipe in a refinery. This is the second turbo fuel alternate recipe available. Using a blender with the alternate diluted fuel recipe, this yields the exact amount as the alternate diluted package recipe without the need of packages and refineries. Taking that identical process and combining fuel with compacted coal to create turbo fuel in a refinery, this yields the exact amount but removes the packaging and unpackaging process. Using a blender with the alternate turbo blended fuel recipe, this recipe requires fuel, HOR, sulfur and petroleum coke, and this is the third turbo fuel recipe. Since the blender was introduced in Update 4, it is somewhat more appealing when replacing the diluted fuel process because you are replacing 15 machines with 3. Specifically, the packaged diluted fuel process is replaced with the diluted fuel process in a blender. I'm not going to extend out this video by walking through the production lines. Instead, you can download this save file and the spreadsheet from the Satisfactory Guru website and explore it yourself. One thing you will notice is that I have a series of compacted coal generators powering all of the production lines. This is because it allows me to create separate power circuits for each production line, and measure the exact amount of power consumed to create the fuel from 100 crude oil. I hope you've enjoyed this guide on the top 30 best ways of making fuel, even though there's only 2 ways, but with lots of variations. This save file with all of these 30 production lines and the spreadsheet is available to download from the Satisfactory Guru website. Check below for the link provided. Thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye!